Good day everyone, my name is Emmanuel and I am a community health representative at Healthcare Dynamics International, and I welcome you to today's webinar. Now, in partnership with Green and Healthy Homes Initiatives, that's GHHI for short, I'll be doing a presentation on lead poison prevention education. Lead poison prevention education. But before we jump right into the webinar, I have a short video to show you that would serve as an introduction into today's presentation. So go ahead and watch this.
While enormous progress has been made to protect children from lead poisoning, many cases of lead exposure still go undetected. Maryland is now testing all children at ages 1 and 2 years because there is no safe lead level.
I was actually had a place of my own, and that's when my 3-year-old contracted lead paint poison. You know, I was pregnant and we moved into a new house because we needed more space, and sure enough, he caught lead paint poison as well.
My experience with lead poisoning is that my son, who's 19 months old now, at his 12-month, his annual visit, we had a mandatory lead test and it was revealed that he had lead poisoning. We were devastated.
You're being told your child is being poisoned in a way that you didn't know how.
No matter where you live, there may be old homes, there may be contaminated soil. It's not something that you can pretend doesn't exist. Lead stays forever. I don't know that we would have understood that he had lead poisoning until he showed symptoms. As it was, it caught it when it was higher, of course, than we would have liked, but he didn't have symptoms yet. So the lead testing guidelines allowed us to address the problem before it got much, much worse.
Here in Maryland, lead is really not dead yet. We still see children in the inner city as well as suburbs with elevated lead levels. A lot of research has been done showing that elevated lead levels, even very low levels, can cause neuropsychological impairments, which include loss of IQ points. It can cause some problems with learning, attention. It also can affect a child medically too. We have found that there is no safe blood levels.
The testing process is a very simple testing process. There's actually 2 levels. When you first go into the pediatrician's office, they may ask it that you just get a heel stick, which is just a couple drops of blood that they do in the office. But then if that heel stick reveals within a certain range, 5 or above generally, they'll ask for you to do a blood test. It's incredibly important, and it's nothing that you should take lightly or assume you know the answer to.
When we have a child with an elevated blood level, there's some things that we do here in our office. The first thing we do is repeat the test with the venipuncture, just to confirm that the blood level is elevated. The second thing we do is we sit down with the parents and provide educational material for them. Again, they are very anxious to read and learn as much as they can. Another thing we do is an environmental survey that we go through to try to identify the source.
Si usted tiene pendiente de que su niño pueda tener contaminación con plomo, tiene usted que hacerse la prueba. Tiene que hacer la prueba de la sangre del niño para estar seguro que no lo tiene, sobre todo si vienen de otro país y no se ha hecho la prueba. Es importante que se haga la prueba estando en Maryland. Lead can be found in all kinds of products, including in medicines that they be made in home, in pottery that many countries use for cooking, is in paint in the roof of the homes, and also on the ground, because the contamination of the land is very important too. The local health departments, they are going to help you. They are going to do the identification of the lead poisoning and the treatment.
All health departments across the state of Maryland are all dedicated to lead hazard reduction. We have a unified case management protocol, so literally every health department has access to a specific protocol, and we treat all of our kids the same way.
We had a lot of help from the health department. They tested every single painted surface, every window frame, every door, and let us know where there was lead, even if it was underneath several layers of paint.
The ceilings, the window sills. Like, I'm on everything now. If anything is peeling or any type of dust, too much dust in the house, drop ceilings.
Since there's no safe level of lead, and any introduction of lead into the body is harmful, we have to really band together to ensure that no child is exposed to lead by making houses lead safe and lead free from lead-based paint.
I would really recommend, if you're considering buying a home, that you do lead testing before completing the purchase of your home.
Don't say, oh, because I don't have the finances, I'm just gonna move in this place. Check on where you're moving. Get lead certificates. Make sure you're aware of your surroundings if you're living by a scrap yard.
Additionally, people who already own a home, as you have contractors work on your home, that you make sure that they're following EPA lead-safe guidelines. The resources that helped us after his lead diagnosis included our city and local health departments, state-level housing organizations, and nonprofit organizations like Green and Healthy Homes Initiative.
If you have a child with an elevated blood lead level, call your local health department, call the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, call the Department of the Environment. No matter where you call, we will all work together with you to help eliminate lead poisoning and address the specific needs of your child.
The message I have for parents is to face this. It's a very scary diagnosis. It's not anything anyone wants to think about, but it can happen to you and it can happen to your child. And you need to get them tested, and you need to know about your home, and you need to do whatever you can to keep your child safe.
The most important key is education. Being educated on the signs of lead paint poison, what to look for, how to clean, and stuff like that. We have to start educating these parents on what to do for children who do have lead to keep it down, and we just have to educate.
I hope you got that last point. Education, education, education. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. So let's jump right in. So what exactly is lead? Lead is a metal that's used in different items such as paint, pipes, dishware, and pottery. Could also include cosmetics. Now lead is toxic, so any amount of lead that enters the body will cause lead poisoning. So anyone at any age can be affected by lead poisoning. However, children under the age of 6 and pregnant women are more likely to be harmed by lower levels of lead than others. Now, and these sources of lead are commonly found in homes in the form of lead dust. So let's talk about lead dust for a second. Now, lead dust is created by wear and tear of lead painted surfaces caused by friction and impact due to opening and closing of wooden windows and doors and frames. And it could also be due to natural weathering such as cold air, heat, wind, and rain, or everyday use. Now the pictures you see on the screen right now are examples of surfaces and utensils that have worn out and have exposed the lead that was underneath. And this, when blown away, can produce lead dust. Now, because lead dust is so small, smaller than a grain of sand, it cannot be seen with the naked eye. So it can enter the body in one of two ways, either by ingestion or inhalation. Ingestion means it goes through the mouth, and this is the common cause of childhood lead poisoning because kids are more likely to put toys in their mouth or to put their hand in their mouth, and if the toy is covered in lead, then that kid ingests the lead. Now the other way lead gets into the body is by inhalation, means you breathe it in, and it's most associated with workplace exposure. So let's talk about more sources of lead exposure. We already spoke about old paints from houses, which can be seen in lead dust, but did you also know that lead can be found in the soil? Yes, lead can also be found in the soil, and it can be found in water from the pipes, and it can also be found in cosmetic pottery and makeup and spices and even toys. So lead can be found in a variety of places. Lead poisoning causes physical and mental disabilities that cannot be reversed. On the screen right now, we have a few common examples of the effects of lead poisoning. Now this list is not an exhaustive list. There are many more effects of lead poisoning. These are just the most common ones. Some of them are brain, liver, and kidney damage, slowed development, learning or behavior problems and disabilities, hyperactivity, ADHD, ADD, aggressive and violent behavior, decrease in motor control and balance, and the list goes on and on. So lead poisoning has many debilitating effects. So let's switch gears to talking about how to reduce lead in your home. How to reduce lead in your home. On the screen right now we have a few tips and recommendations that you could use to prevent or reduce the amount of lead in your home. So first of all, before buying, renting, or renovating your home, have it checked for lead paint and get a lead certificate. Don't try to remove the lead paint by yourself. Contact a certified professional because you could be putting yourself and your family in serious danger. If you're working outdoors or in a construction, remove your work clothes before you enter your home. Also remove your shoes and have a designated place to put your shoes and your work clothes before you get into the house. Clean and vacuum the floors, the window sills, and other surfaces regularly to prevent the lead dust from settling on them. Now don't dry sweep the house, because when you dry sweep the house, it pushes all the lead particles into the atmosphere and creates more lead dust. So damp your broom with water before sweeping, or use the 2-bucket technique, which I'll explain in a couple seconds. And always clean the sponges and the mop heads after every use. There are specific vacuums with HEPA filters, which are highly recommended for cleaning your home. Now these HEPA filters have really tiny slits, tiny holes that trap lead particles. So we highly recommend you use vacuums with HEPA filters. Also wash your hands before preparing your food, and we recommend you use cold water from the tap or the sink when cooking, drinking, or making baby formula, because research has shown that hot water from old pipes is more likely to have higher levels of lead than cold water. So cold water is what we recommend. Also make sure your child's hands, your pacifier, the bottles and toys are washed with water very often. Now, besides physically ensuring that your home is lead safe by cleaning regularly and following all the tips that I just mentioned, there are other things you can do to give you a lower likelihood of having lead poisoning. So let's talk about lead and nutrition. What to eat. To prevent lead poisoning, choose foods which are high in iron, calcium, and vitamin C. Iron, calcium, and vitamin C. Foods which are high in iron, a couple of examples are chicken, turkey, fish, lean beef, baked potatoes with the skin, greens such as spinach, cooked dried beans or peas, raisins, nuts, and seeds. These are just a handful of examples of foods which are high in iron. Now there are many other examples, there are many other varieties which you can use which are not part of this list. Foods which are high in vitamin C are generally fruits such as oranges, grapefruits, strawberries, juices, tomatoes, bell peppers, and the list goes on. Foods which are high in calcium are milk, cheese, yogurt, greens and kale, hot chocolate, and pudding. And again, the list goes on. Let's look at the flip side to that. What should you not eat? What puts you at risk for being poisoned by lead? These are foods which are high in fats and oils. So you should limit foods which are high in fats and oils. So limit the butter, limit the scrapple, limit the lard, limit the pork, bacon, and the sausage, limit the French fries, limit the potato chips, and a lot of all the junk food. Limit those because they put you at risk. They make you more likely to be poisoned by lead. Now let's talk about the 2-bucket cleaning technique, which I had alluded to a couple of minutes ago. Now this technique can be used to clean and remove lead dust, but it's also a great way to clean the entire house. Now I should point out that this is not a substitute for getting a certified professional to take a look at the house before you move in or before you rent the house. Now this is a prevention technique to remove dust, the lead dust that are settled on surfaces. It is not a substitute for getting your home checked by a certified professional. So you need a couple of things for this 2-bucket cleaning technique. You need 2 plastic buckets, you need rubber gloves, you need hot water, you need an all-purpose cleaner, preferably a cleaner that doesn't have strong scents, because strong scents affect people with asthma. You need sponges, and you need a mop. So the 2-bucket cleaning technique can be used on the floor or flat surfaces such as the countertops, the window sills, and the tabletops. So let's talk about the 2-bucket cleaning technique for the floor. To do that, first you need to put on your gloves, then fill 1 bucket with hot water, and then you add all-purpose cleaner, and then mix it up real good. Fill up the 2nd bucket with hot water only. Now this bucket is your rains water. Now dip your mop into the soap water mix and then begin mopping. After cleaning the space about the size of the bottom half of your front door, which is approximately 9 feet, rinse your mop in the water only bucket, then dip it back into the soap water mix, and then repeat all over again until the entire surface is cleaned. Now when you're done with that rinsed water, it's a great idea to dump that water into the toilet and flush it, because you don't want to dump it into the soil. Now if it contains lead, then you'll just be taking the lead into the soil. So dump it into the toilet and you flush it. Never dump it into the sink or the bathtub. And it's also important to rinse the water every time you start cleaning a new room. So get a new rinsed water every time you start cleaning a new room. So let's talk about the 2-bucket cleaning technique for flat surfaces. To do this, you need to put on your gloves, then you fill 1 bucket with hot water, and then you add your all-purpose cleaner and you mix, just like we did with the floors. Fill the 2nd bucket with hot water only. This again is your rinse bucket. Now dip the sponge into the soap water mix and wash by pulling the sponge in one direction, either from your right to your left or your left to your right. Right to left or left to right only. Don't do it haphazardly, don't do it back and forth. No, just in one direction. Now after cleaning a section, rinse the sponge in the water only bucket, then dip it back into the soap water mix, and then you repeat until the entire surface is cleaned. And as before, don't throw away the rinsed water into the soil. Put it in the toilet and you flush it. And it's important that you change your rinsed water every time you get into a new surface. Every time you're about to clean a new surface, you get a new rinsed water. That concludes our webinar. I hope this information was very helpful to you, and now you're better able to identify sources of lead and to prevent or limit its exposure to you or your loved ones. For more information, please visit the Green and Healthy Homes Initiative's website at www.ghhi.org, and you can send an email to info@ghhi.org, and the phone number and the fax is right there on the screen. Please don't hesitate to contact them for more information. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.